everybody. We are live on YouTube. You're checking out that Vocal Fry Live. We're trying a brand new thing called Google Meet. So hopefully it's working. Let me know if the audio is working for you guys and everything. And Vocal Fry is me, Drew, and my wife, Layla. Say what's up, Layla.
Hey everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. And I can't see the chat either, so I don't know.
I'm trying to see it with my phone, so.
But it's good to be back. I missed going live on here.
Yeah, you haven't been live for a while or on this channel at all because we had the baby.
Yeah, we had a baby. I was pregnant for like 2 years.
Yeah,
Literally.
two
Like,
back-to-back babies.
yeah, but it's awesome to be back. So I hope everybody's good.
Yep, and I know you've been following what happened because you're cooking me dinner every night and you're washing my chonies. Ewar shouted out my channel, so big thanks and shout out to Ewar. I did talk good about him and Wooden Nickels on the last stream I did with the EBT. I liked where they were going. It was some cutting edge stuff. And basically, he shouted out that stream I did called The Dangers of the Online Truth Community. Now, that's actually the name of the book that I wanted to write. So I have more to say. And I know you certainly have a lot to say as well. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
What do you think about what you see going on currently, or whatever you want to get into? I guess we can just go any direction.
Yeah, I don't think I saw the entire video that you did, which is so bad because we live together, but of the online truth community dangers. But
you know, it's the same thing we always talk about when we're talking about it.
Yeah, so I don't know what you've already touched on as far as that goes. What I see kind of what happens when people get into communities anyway. I think communities in general can just be dangerous. And I think especially with the truther stuff right now, because that seems to be like one of the main narratives. And it's like, people are drawn to community because it's like they're looking for something greater than themselves. And I think that's a normal thing to do, really, because it's like it's a natural law thing because you're a created thing, right? If we're looking at it in the sense of God, right? Like you belong to something and you're looking for something, so that's normal. I kind of wanted to get into the simulation theory stuff because that's like a big one I've been seeing a lot, and it seems like it's kind of just taken off. I blame the Matrix for this, honestly. The new Matrix movie.
The
Like
original Matrix movie.
Yeah, the original one is honestly like one of the most just destructive movies I feel like has ever happened ever.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Before we go into that, we'll go into that right away or next. But you're right about what we see with the communities and the problems that you see within the communities. And right now I see the same self-destruction happening in different other communities that I followed, like the vintage reseller t-shirt community. And even I kind of follow some of those predator catchers on YouTube. Even the predator catcher YouTube community is like crumbling from within right now. So the same energies across vastly different types of communities seems to be happening right now.
Yeah, and that's why I said it's like community in general, which is interesting if you think about it, because as a human being, it's like you need that in a sense, because that's why people are drawn to relationships, right? And you need that. But
you're just my imaginary wife. That's why I made that cover.
oh yeah, totally. I'm an AI.
That's what truthers say anyway. So
they do say that. That's actually a true thing they say, and that like some people genuinely believe that, which is actually hilarious to me.
They say the babies aren't real.
Yeah. I laugh at that kind of thing. It's funny. I kind of forgot what I was gonna say, but like just what I was saying about communities in general. It's when you can't
saying,
like.
Sorry, you were saying you seek relationships and stuff.
Oh yeah, because you're always seeking to identify with something, which I think is a really cool part of human nature, because it is ingrained in your human nature to identify with something, because you are always seeking God in a sense, right? And I think it's when you don't properly align those beliefs with what is true, because there's also no such thing. I hate it when people say my truth. Like that's something that's been bothering me a lot lately too. When people say my truth, there's no such thing as your truth. There's just one. There's just the truth. That's what it is. It doesn't change based on your point of view. And I feel like with these communities, it kind of becomes that. It's more about your viewpoint, and then you find something that you can kind of mold to that, and it becomes your identity. And we talk a lot about that too. So I know I'm probably repeating myself with that, but when it does that, then it's like it's not even so much a belief you have at that point. It's just you. It's like your personality's gone, and it's just this is what you are. And like
Correct.
yeah,
And then do you want to go into we can go into simulation theory.
yeah, because that's a big one I've seen lately. Obviously, um, damn you, Matrix. But I mean, simulation. Okay, if you just look at what the word means, it just means you're imitating something. But I feel like that's not exactly what people have taken that theory and turned it into. Because okay, you're imitating something, right? So you're a creature, you're a created thing. You have a source. So you're supposed to be imitating that source, and we'll use God, right? So you're supposed to be imitating the nature of God and like the virtues that go along with that. Um, so I feel like when you remove that, because obviously that has been just removed and nitpicked out of society to a high degree, and then you have like this lack inside of you. So I feel like a lot of these theories and ideals are trying to fill that void. And even like vices that you see people take on is like it all stems from lack, right? So I'd say like the capital sins, I'll use that as an example, like, lust, gluttony, like those type of things, right? Because of a lack. So I feel like a lot of these theories like fill that um when they're taken to that extent. And I'm not sitting here also trying to say like don't investigate stuff, because I've been accused of that before. Like, yeah, you're supposed to be researching all these things, and I like reading about this stuff too. It's always like very interesting to me. Um, Simulation theory, I feel like, is dangerous though, because it goes hand in hand with the NPC theory as well. And I feel like that's a pretty bad one if you actually like break that down into what that is.
Yeah,
Because if you're going to,
I
Mhm.
like to talk about NPCs, but I don't think of it in the context of it's just a placeholder term, and people know what you mean when you say it. But I don't actually believe it in the terms that someone that would get super far into simulation theory would, you know. And it
Yeah,
does lead to something that could be potentially dangerous because if these people that you deem to be NPCs, what's to stop you from committing some kind of atrocities against them? Well, it doesn't matter because reality's not real and these people are just NPCs.
yeah, exactly. And that's the problem, because it's like I've literally seen people lately say, oh, it's an AI generated human being. It's just a soulless robot, and it's just here to like torment you or, annoy you, whatever. And it's easy to think, what's happening right now in the world is unnatural. And then you see, all the people that would be considered NPC, right? But they're actually doing something very natural. And it's like people become what they consume, like, not just food, but what you watch all day, the people you surround yourself with, and what you listen to, right? So if you think about people that are just consuming all the mainstream media and everything that's pushed to them, because, let's face it, most people these days spend a lot of time on their phone looking at algorithms and stuff. Like, yeah, they're going to look like they're following an algorithm because they're consuming and looking at that and listening to that all day on their phone, right? Or their TV or wherever they're getting it. So, yeah, you're going to see people having the same behaviors or similar behaviors. It doesn't mean they're not real.
Yeah, I can see the chat on my phone. EBT said NPC basically means the J's golem.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Just
don't,
means your programming is like
yeah,
completely set in stone.
absolutely. But
But
that's a
it's not.
normal
That's the
thing.
thing though, with an actual NPC in a video game. they
No.
are unable to change their programming. At any time in this world, a person could make a different decision and change their and decide to override their existing programming at any time, no matter how old they are. Most people just won't choose to make that choice.
Yeah, that's the problem too, is because yeah, everybody can. I do feel like you get to a certain point where it's going to be nearly impossible for some people to do that because of how far gone they are. But at the end of the day, it is a choice, and they're still people. And I feel like it is dangerous because you dehumanize people. And then yeah, it's like you said, if you dehumanize somebody, then of course you can commit any atrocity. And then I like that one recently where it was like if you're nitpicking my ideas, then you're just not real, you know.
Oh yeah, for a couple of those peddlers of simulation type theory, that's what they say is if you don't yeah, if you nitpick my idea, basically you're not real, you're an NPC or you're an agent of this artificial intelligence or whatever. It's a pretty
Yeah,
wild thing to say, wild claim to say if you challenge my theories. I mean, could you imagine having that take? If you challenge my theories, you literally aren't a real person.
yeah, that's very a childish stance in my opinion because honestly,
It's
the truth,
harmful. It's not
yeah,
even
the truth,
childish.
yeah, harmful, very harmful, and yeah, I agree. It's just okay if your theories and ideas are so strong that they are the truth, that should speak for itself. I mean, you should be able to defend that. If you have a belief or an idea, you better be able to give a good reason for believing that, right? And you should be able to defend it with more than just, you're not real.
Yeah,
Um,
and you should also not be afraid to like you said, if your idea stands on its own, you should be able to take it to a debate or whatever, but you should not be afraid of being wrong
oh no, yeah,
and adjusting your viewpoints. I'm constantly like shifting my viewpoints. I feel like I'm always trying to kind of tweak it for the better.
yeah, same. And I don't even think like year to year, even last year, like I've changed so many of my just viewpoints in the way that like my perspective is so different even from a year ago, 2 years ago. And it should be like that. You should be honestly, you should be listening to stuff that you don't like more than stuff that you do like and agree with, I think, at a certain point, because that does push you. It pushes you to think. And I think a lot of people just like to be comforted by these ideas and theories and such, you know. But and then I hear the thing too where they say, oh, you know, like what you're seeing with happen with people is so unnatural and reality is so what was the word? Inorganic. But I think what's happening now is so natural. It's such a human nature thing, you know, that you become what you surround yourself with and that you're always like searching for the truth and you're supposed to do that. Like that's that innate curiosity that's inside of everybody. And you're supposed to be, you know, using that to research and think and use your brain. That's why it's there. But I think another thing too though is like that need to find the truth I think can become toxic at a certain point because people think they need to be right about something or possess the truth in some way. But I think a big part of life for everybody is like that mystery because a lot of spiritual things and God in the sense is supposed to be a mystery. There's some things you're never gonna know ever in this life
You would
anyway.
think then you think your stance is you're not supposed to know.
Yeah, I mean, because humans have limitations. Yeah, there's some things you're never gonna know. None of us know. None of us know shit really at the end of the day, right? Like, and I think you have to admit that at a certain point.
Yeah,
Um,
people want to know the truth all the way back to like, thousands or like 100,000 years or whatever. It doesn't matter. They want to know every step of the way. Some things you would never be able to verify.
yeah, I think the beauty of mystery has been also just demolished from society and people's minds because I think that's a cool thing at the end of the day. Um, yeah, you're never gonna know some things, and that's okay because that's where faith comes in. You know, if let's say you believe in God, well, at the end of the day, you also can't really prove that God exists, right? Like your human reasoning and your discernment and your mind and your intelligence can only take you so far because you are a material, created thing. Obviously, you have a soul as well, but your brain can only take you so far. And, you can wrestle with the idea of a god or any of these theories too. I guess you could think about it in that sense too. You can wrestle with it, but it can only take you so far. And then at that point, you have to let go of it and have faith in something.
True. And shout out to the chat real quick. We got 68 people in the house. When you hear those loud noises, the notifications aren't coming up, but that's my either. And we're live, I guess. Again,
For real this time?
says we are. I
Oh,
apologize to everyone. We're using this new thing called Google Meet. It's supposed to integrate seamlessly into the YouTube. It kicked us off and it wouldn't let me back on. Tried OBS and everything wasn't working. But anyway, we are back. Apologize for that. Thanks for hanging with us. I want to ask you, we'll just try to pick up where we were. I kind of forgot now, but I want to ask you, earlier you talked about the human beings need to want to be in a relationship. And then what I see in the truth community, like the people becoming further and further isolated. What do you think of that? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, sorry. I wasn't sure if you were done with that or not.
I'm scared it's not going to work again.
Yeah, don't anger the simulation.
We were spitting too much hot fire.
I know it happens.
They had to take us out.
Yeah, so with that, I do feel like that's a problem. Um, but a lot of these theories, like the simulation, especially, it's such a depressing theory because okay, your entire life is just it's deterministic basically, right? Because it's like you have this, I guess, I don't know, because I feel like the simulation theory too is kind of incohesive because it could mean a lot of different things. So I guess in a lot of people believe that it's like some evil AI that's creating it, and then it is deterministic, right? So then you're just kept down, and then um
What do
yeah,
you
I
think
do
about
think.
people getting isolated though?
Oh yeah, okay. Derail. Yeah, I
Like
think it
I've
does.
been reading all these comments to you about like, oh, don't talk to your family if they don't believe what you
Oh
believe and
yeah,
stuff like that, like
yeah, that was pretty.
that type of stuff. What do you think about that line if people get sucked in that far? And it just takes you away. You saw the damages of that the lockdowns caused and everything as far as that type of thing. And then the truther community kind of willingly doing that to themselves because if people don't believe what they believe their family or whatever, they'll dismiss them and rather just be kind of locked away in a dark room or something.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that goes along with the whole NPC thing because it's like these beliefs eventually lead people to think that they can't even talk to their family and don't want to be around anybody because it's like, okay, you don't think like me and behave like me. You're not even real. So yeah, it does lead these people to just completely shut off and become depressed. And then, there's a lot of talk. I know you showed me this too of like the self-deletion stuff because it does make you hopeless. Because I do feel like when you cut yourself off from people because you're not even willing to learn anything from somebody that thinks differently than you, it does turn you very bitter, very, very bitter people. And I've noticed that too. Like, I think we were saying it before. I don't remember at what point the stream cut out when, but we were saying about how the truth should really stand for itself and you shouldn't have to, get so like personally offended when somebody just says something that's true.
Yep. And
And I do
then
feel like that's the kind of person that does believe that because at the end of the day, it is about that. It's like, okay, if I believe this, then, you're beneath me if you don't believe or think like this. And people do need socialization and relationship. Like, that's just a fact. Obviously, you have people that are more introverted and tend to like solitude a bit more than others. But at the end of the day, human being is a social creature. And it's very bad for you to be isolated for long periods of time. But yeah, when you're
Yeah.
seeing the entire world is not real, and as everybody in your life is just a manifestation of your mind or an NPC, whatever you want to call that, then yeah, obviously you would be really depressed. I feel like I would be depressed. I couldn't live like that, you know? So I get why there's a lot of talk of the self-deletion.
And just so everyone knows, we just can't say the real word on YouTube. I think that's what I've heard. That's why she's got to say that weird phrase that she's saying. We
Yeah,
don't really talk like that.
no.
And I noticed, I don't know how many, but I think a lot of these truthers don't have kids, man. That's what I think, are the ones that get really deep into that kind of depressed funk. Because, like, I don't know if you saw the whole stream, the last one I did with EVT, the full stream. It's on his page now. But the BV dude was in there and he was like, you know, it's so much easier if you got kids to unplug from the YouTube and, you know, I got to go feed and take care of my kids and do this now, which is a good point where some of these creatures we see on here, they're not able to unplug and they're living it
Mm.
24/7, and then that literally becomes their reality.
That's a really good point. And yeah, okay. And what's going on when you're going and taking care of your kids? You're going and you are socializing. You're doing stuff with other human beings. Um, and kids just take a lot of time anyway. Like, let's be real. If you have kids, then that's your life, right? Um, but yeah, I think a big part of that, and especially with children, is because obviously children are a big responsibility, and then now you have the responsibility of like teaching another like human being how to live. So
Yeah.
that's a huge scary responsibility if you think about it, you know.
And I think,
It shouldn't be scary, I guess. Like, it is scary in a sense, but it
yeah,
should
it's a
push
little
you
scary.
to, yeah, it's a responsibility. It's a huge one, you know. So, but it should push you to want to be the best, you know, version of yourself you can be, and it should push you to want to seek the truth so you can give that to them.
And these people, man, they don't. Now, I know there is some people that have kids that still get into this, but I'm talking about the people that don't, you know, like, I think they kind of miss like the magic of that whole experience of giving birth and all that, and being there, like, just thinking about, as crazy as this sounds, like, I'm sitting on the couch one day, you know, and inside my nuts was a kid. You know what I mean? Sorry to get so gross, but and now that
Yeah,
kid's
but
out here, I have, like, an adult daughter, I can text her across the world, but one day I was on the couch, and that was, like, part of me, you know what I mean? It's so crazy.
yeah, well, it really is, and you know, and that's a normal. Like, obviously, people are supposed to want to reproduce. It's in your biology to want to reproduce, right? So if you're not even reproducing with kids, you're going to be trying to reproduce your own ideals and your own beliefs into things,
Yes,
right?
there you
And you're going
go.
to be trying
And
to imprint
yeah,
yourself
you see
on.
that with, like,
Hmm.
certain other, like, alphabet communities too that you probably can't talk about too deep, but you see them trying to, like, spread that
Yeah,
ideology to other people as well because they can't do it
yeah.
organically.
So you're spreading the seed, not your seed, the seed of ideology, the seed of beliefs, and
Exactly.
you can see, you know, and it's for some people that, you know, okay, let's say there's people that can't have kids and, you know, they're seeking to do that. And, you know, it could be a positive thing, like to leave, you know, your research or your thoughts or ideas or even your creativity or art. Okay, you're imprinting that. But it can become very destructive, obviously, when you have people that are, well, how could I say it? People that are very overridden with all of these things that I'm just gonna say that they're not true. You know, I'm allowed to have opinions, and you know, if you're spreading or imprinting things that are not true or just wrong or evil or bad, then yeah, heavily destructive. And I think sometimes people don't mean to do that too. Like, you know, obviously not everybody just has malicious intentions. I think a lot of people are just sadly misguided, which is also really easy because I think literally every single person here probably has been at some point.
Yeah, and like you were saying earlier too, like if you're made in the image of the creator, you're supposed to be out here creating, and I think a lot of these people don't even really do that. They don't really have hobbies. Obviously, we're not talking about everyone, it's a blanket statement, but I think the people that get sucked in the most, since they lack some kind of hobby or skill that they work on,
Yeah, and it
then
comes back to
their time gets sucked into that, so then they're not creating anything.
yeah, exactly. And that kind of touches back on what we started to get into in the beginning. I don't know at what point it cut out again, but it was that word lack, because a lot of these things stem from lack. A lot of the just bizarre theories too. And also with the conspiracy theories, I feel like it gets so convoluted because it makes you think that the truth is this huge complex thing that you need all these symbols and codes and all these ancient texts to unravel and really get to the truth. When in actuality, I feel like the truth most times is very simple and self-evident. And that's like,
Yeah, these people do overthink it.
yeah, I feel like it is self-evident. And that's also, you see people say, oh, okay, because all these world religions and cultures all kind of have the same themes as far as religion. And you kind of see the same characters through religions or mythologies, like, regurgitated and stuff. And you see people like use that to say that it's just all fake, obviously, and like, just written as a narrative to control humanity. But I think a lot of times it's because the truth is such a self-evident thing that, yeah, you're going to see a lot of similarities in the way different cultures came to that conclusion.
And
So it doesn't
another
have
thing
to
where
be this.
I was
Go
saying
on,
where
sorry.
they like, sorry,
Go on.
I was saying where they like lose the magic of the kids and stuff, and then they lose like the wonder of the human being that leads to the ingenuity that creates these, the all the devices we use and everything. Like a specific example is I know Niven, the channel.
Yo, good old Niven.
There's this
God bless him.
channel Niven, and they were posting him in in the Discord, and he said like he was talking about the silly planes don't carry that much fuel theory. And then he was like, yeah, well, think about an aircraft carrier. And if it has this many planes and each plane has this much weight, that wouldn't that affect the buoyancy of the plane? And I think it was EBT said, yeah, it would affect the buoyancy. That's why they designed it with that in mind. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
since we moved here to Jacksonville, I know I've even told you this in person. Like when I look at these huge ships, just because I've never really grown up around them or have much experience with it, you see these ships, dude, they're so big, they're so huge. Even I'm like, like how is it possible that thing floats? Like it's so big, and you got to imagine the amount of cargo that's on there. When
Yeah.
I look at it, I'm like, there's no way. But I don't instantly go to like, oh, there must be some alternate technology or any kind of crazy conspiracy type thing. I go to like, man, think of how smart these people are that designed this and how many years of like trial and error it took for different people, trying to make these ships this big. But a lot of the truth of it will just denies everything upright and up front, and it's like there's no way even this proves that reality isn't real because this boat's just this big.
Yeah, I would love to say that is that just because you don't understand how something works, that's
Right.
okay and normal, and that doesn't mean it's not real.
Right.
And I do feel like so many things are really meant to be a mystery that you're meant to wonder at for the rest of your life. I genuinely do think that, and I think that's okay. And I think we've been taught to think that it's not okay.
Yeah, and then that gets to the time suck of what a truth or the quest is. You're studying reality. Like I want to know the underpinnings of the code of the matrix and everything, you know what I mean? And you spend so many years trying to figure that out. And
You're
it's
never
like
gonna
you
know.
don't really have to.
You're never gonna know in this lifetime, and that's normal and fine, and like that's how it's supposed to be. You're always supposed to be wondering at God, and God is, and the creation in general. Like it is a mystery. It's always
Yeah.
gonna be a mystery.
I
But I
wonder
feel
if I
like
wonder if that's like
that should
go ahead.
honestly keep you like humble though. Like I feel like people see that as a negative thing, but it's really not. And if you do have kids, like you do get to see that in like your children too, which I think is something that a lot of people miss out on. Um, because they have that like I think it's crazy when you watch a small child like how intuitive they are about stuff. Like they just kind of know certain things that they're never taught. And
Yeah.
that is really to me like that just points out that there is natural law and human nature is such a real thing. And I do want to say too to the the whole reality is not real thing and the simulation theory is like, okay, let's just, you know, for the sake of it, pretend that that's real. Okay, reality is not real, right? But you live in a reality where you have to literally live your entire life as if it is real. So what's the point of it at the end of the day?
Right. Like
Like
I don't
even
even get what
when you
these
feel
people
pain, that's
mean.
real, right? Like when you're suffering, that's
I
very
don't
real.
fully
When you're
understand
happy.
what they mean that it's not real. Do they really think that they're like in a matrix pod being used as a battery? I mean, it's like that's like an allegory, right? And they think it's like
Yeah.
a reality. And then
Yeah.
they always say like, "Oh, the deceivers are trying to help you." Like that's why these put truth in these movies and everything like that. It's really to help you.
Yeah, but see, it's so pointless to me though, because if you're forced to live a life where as if it is real anyway, in your own theory, is it helping you at all?
Right.
I don't see that it's very helpful for anybody, honestly. But at the same time, it's fine if you want. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff is interesting to read about, obviously, but
Yeah, and it's to me, it's almost like an obsession because I got into it so long ago, and you just get into the routine of looking into it every day and everything. And I think a lot of us are probably like that. And then even once you kind of want to get out of it, it's like you can't help but it's just ingrained in you almost at that point to keep looking into it. That's why
yeah,
now I'm kind of on the I feel like I'm on the outside looking in and looking at more watching it to kind of psychoanalyze the presenters,
yeah,
going getting into more of the psychology side of it.
yes,
And,
and then you
and
get accused of,
I watch a lot of it just for the lulls too. Like some of
yeah,
it's just funny.
it's very funny, and
And
you should,
ultimately, Stephen David said earlier in the chat, I don't know if I can find it fast enough. Yeah, here it is. He says, always swing harder on your own community. It keeps them stronger. And I would agree with that 100%. And that's why, like, if you hear me like dogging on other creators or something, these people are just like, oh, it's a hit piece. Oh, you made another hit piece. Uh,
oh,
I would love nothing more than these people that I talk about to come out with like some cutting edge video, and I'd be the first person out there to be like, "Yo, this was like some cutting edge ideas and thoughts." And you got to have someone out here kind of peer reviewing these ideas that are coming out, and ultimately it would be for their own good if they would be willing to be introspective about it.
yeah, I like that comment a lot. That's a really good comment because, okay, like I kind of identify it because I grew up in the church, so I identify with that, right? It's like you want, because like anytime, like I would say something about, oh yeah, like this priest, I don't agree with him because he said this, and it's like, people are like, oh, you can't disagree with the priest because that's like the head of the church here, blah blah blah, right? But you should absolutely be, you know, calling people out in your communities or your groups when
Yeah, at
they're out
least
of
to
line
yourself. Yeah,
because they're out there making you look dumb, making your community or your group or whatever you want to call it, right?
yeah,
They're
and I
making it
think
look
that's
bad. They're degrading it. Yeah, you
That's
need to
kinda
call
what
people out.
Ewar so shout out to Ewar if you ended up coming to this channel from him, that's was part of his video today where he talked about is ultimately, yeah, like, you just the whole community as a whole ends up looking foolish when these
Yeah,
people are talking about crazy stuff like that.
yeah.
Like,
Judgment does not equal condemnation. People need to let go
say
of the
say it
negative.
louder for the people in the back.
Judgment does not equal condemnation. It's not the same. If someone is judging you, that's a good thing. You should be judging everything and everybody all the time. That's not a bad thing. It helps you. It helps each other, it's literally a necessary human function. The whole you have to accept everybody's ideas and is just No, you don't.
Yeah, you don't. And then the other people, like I see some of these people in the comments, they assume they're like, why can't all these truthers, like we're supposed to be truthers? Like we're truthers, man.
No,
We're
no, no.
truthers. Like they're like, oh, we're all supposed to get along and something. No, we're not. I don't want to be in like a community with people that are like talking about crazy stuff or people that are like defending people that have certain criminal pasts. And so I don't want anything to do with that type of
No.
thing.
Yeah,
Or
you need division. You honestly need division in these cases.
and I
Because everyone
want
say, "Oh,
I
it's the divide and conquer." Well, okay, but you don't want to be united with some bullshit ideas or some bullshit, people. It's a
right,
good
like,
thing.
think of a community, I think of, like, where I'd be the somewhere where I'd be able to, like, leave my kids out with these people, and then when you got other people out here, uh,
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I feel like because the word like, oh, you have to love everybody. I feel like that word is so polluted too. Because honestly, if you are judging somebody and trying to point out the error in something, that is love, because you're trying to help at the end of the day.
that's how I feel, and I know these people probably don't take it that way, and
No,
the comments, what's crazy too is across creators, it doesn't matter which creator you say something about, the commenters that are like the ride or dies for them, they all say like the same, they run the same script and they'll be like, you just don't understand. Like that's not just one group of people. That's what they'll come out and say. You don't trust me, I understand it probably more than you because
yeah, I agree with that because you don't have okay. There's a lot of people that I completely disagree with that I think are intelligent people, right? It doesn't mean that like you're saying they're, you know, I don't know what words you can or can't say on YouTube, but it's not saying like they're unintelligent. You're not saying that. You're allowed to disagree with people. And then I totally lost my train of thought.
well, it's okay. um I'm down to just shut this one down because it kind of messed up and it totally threw off the whole flow, so I apologize for that. But now that we have this new Google Meetup thing, it seems to be working this time. I don't know what the issue was last time. Monkey with it and troubleshoot it a little more. And now, hopefully, Layla, you can be back and we can do the vocal fry on a more regular basis. And I would like to, like, in the ideal world, like, all we do is talk about this stuff all day anyway. I think we could do a show every couple days, maybe a 10-15 minute show every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, definitely. I'm down.
Yeah, you gotta earn your keep, woman.
Dang.
And did you get the ring rust off? Do you feel like you're ready to go now on a regular schedule?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, most of it is just getting babies into sleeping schedules. So,
Yeah, we're almost there.
yeah,
We're
it's
getting
good.
there.
Yeah,
A-
so
And
definitely. Um, as always, like I'm super grateful for all the comments and the chat as well, even the ones that are
even the haters, those are the
yeah,
best
even
ones.
the haters, because that, like I said, I welcome that kind of thing because that's what pushes you. And sometimes it's just funny the stuff people say. So you gotta like laugh at
Super
yourself
funny.
too.
And
Yeah.
then what I'll do just for everyone that's in here now, as soon as we're done, I think I made the first one private. I'll probably just make this one private, download them both real quick and splice them together real quick, and then just upload it all. So it's just one thing. So there's no confusion. But yeah, thanks to everyone that was in here. Shout out to any new subscribers we have. And we will be back with the Vocal Fry podcast, hopefully sooner than later and on a more regular basis. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, just hope everyone has a blessed night or morning whenever you're listening to this. And thank you.
All right. Appreciate you guys' time and peace out.